Welcome to Spellbound Homestead. My name is Taylor. This is where Laura Ingalls meets Morticia Adams, and I'm so glad that you're here. Today in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you some tips and tricks to start reading more. This is the perfect time of the year to get cozy with a book as we are entering to late autumn and into winter, which is a perfect time to get cozied up and do some reading. And I'm going to be sharing with you some tips in order to help you get started and start reading more. So if that sounds good to you, go ahead and grab your cup of coffee, tea, or beverage of choice, and let's chat about it. First tip that I have is to read books that interest you. So whatever genre that you choose to read the books that interest you, and don't waste the time on books that don't. Honestly, this is something that I struggled with because there for a while I was reading books I felt like I needed to read, such as like really higher level classics and things like that. But sometimes, while that is fun, sometimes you just need a break and read something easy. So whether that's like a middle grade book or maybe like a novella or a short story or some smut, just whatever that you are interested in, read the books that you want to read. The second tip that I have is reading books in different formats. So for example, I always prefer to hold the book in my hand and flip the pages. It's just very nostalgic and comforting to me. But there are instances where I'm not able to do so. So ebooks or Kindles or ebook apps such as Hoopla and Libby are a great option. If you don't know what Hoopla and Libby is, check it out and see if your local library has that, because through your library you can use these apps to rent ebooks or audiobooks, movies, music, and more. It's just a great resource to have to be able to access online media for free. So having those on my phone definitely helps, because then, you know, if I'm like at a doctor's appointment and I'm in the waiting room, I can either pull out my Kindle or I can pull up one of these apps and read my book on there. Also, audiobooks are something that I have really gotten into lately. I love listening to them while I'm cleaning house and doing errands and plugging it into my car. It's just another great way to be able to get some reading in whenever I'm not able to sit down and just hold a book and read it. As much as I like to do that, it's also fun to kind of mix it up every now and then and do these different formats as well. Tip I have kind of goes along with the first one, which is something that I still struggle with but I'm working on, is don't be afraid to do not finish, or DNF is the term that a lot of people use. So if a book is not interesting you and you just cannot get into it, set it down and don't waste your time reading it. Personally, for me, this is something I struggle with because I want to finish the book, but also on the flip side of that, I don't want to waste time reading a book that really just isn't interesting me whenever I can move on and read something that is. So don't be afraid, and this is for me too, do not be afraid to put a book down if it's just not keeping your attention. Next tip I have is to set goals. So it can be however you want to do this. Personally, I have had goals where, you know, read one book a month. This year my goal is to read 100 books, and I think I'm at 86 right now at the time of this video. That is a huge goal. I've never been able to do that. I've always wanted to say that I read 100 books in a year. That's just something, a personal goal I've always wanted to reach. So this is definitely like a higher end goal for me, but there have been seasons of life where I've set goals or like read one book a month or read one book every 2 months, just depending on the season of life that I'm in and what is going on in my life and how much time I'm able to read. But yeah, set some small goals for yourself and build upon that. To go along with setting goals, the next tip I have is reward yourself when you reach that goal. So this reminds me of like whenever we were kids and you could get your little personal pan pizza at Pizza Hut for reaching your reading goal, or we did like AR, which is accelerating reading quizzes, and after you read a book you took a quiz, and after so many you got like a prize and stuff. And even though we're grown up, I think we still need to reward ourselves for our reading. So yeah, reward yourself when you have met your goal. Tip that I have is read with friends. I've done this in the past where me and my friends would read a book and have like a little book club where we would read and meet like every week or every 2 weeks or however the schedule went. I've also had instances where I've met with friends like once a month. You can join like your local library. Usually they have book clubs going on. You can form your own club with you and your friends, or you can also do reading with online community and your online friends as well. I know there are a ton of options as far as that goes. Sometimes it's fun reading with friends because it brings you that sense of community that we often need, and also I love getting different perspectives from all my friends or different, people that I'm sharing this reading experience with, because you never know how somebody else may interpret things. And it's just a really great time as well to get together and talk about books. Something I've been doing this year that has really helped me accomplish more reading, and that is reading more than one book at a time. So I didn't used to be able to do this. I was a one book at a time kind of person, but here lately I've been able to read 2 or 3 at a time, just kind of rotating them as I'm interested in. This has really helped me get a lot more reading done, and also it just makes me feel more accomplished personally, because I feel like I'm able to read more whenever I do it this way. Maybe this isn't for you, and not everybody likes to do that, but for me personally, reading 1 or more books, reading 1, 2, or 3 books at a time is really helpful. The best way that I do this is having like a book, like a physical book, and then I'll read a book on my Kindle, or maybe I have an audio book. So that way I don't have a ton of books just laying around, but I really do. I really always have a ton of books laying around, as you can see. And so having different, books to rotate through and reading more, than one at a time really helps build up your ability to read more, as far as how much you're reading, but also it kind of gives you a break from a book whenever you need it in order to dive into something else. This tip is something that I really love doing, and that is taking a book with me everywhere I go, whether that's a physical book and just put it in my bag, or an ebook on my phone, or my Kindle in my purse, whatever it is. Always having a book on hand, because you never know whenever you might need it. If you're waiting on your order, whenever you pick up something, or maybe you are at the doctor's office and you have some time to kill in the waiting room. Just always having a book readily available has helped me steal away a few moments of reading, whether it's just a couple sentences or a paragraph, maybe a few pages, and just having a book readily available and just stashed around my house at all times gives me that opportunity to read. Tracking your reading progress is another tip that I have. I use the Goodreads app. I know there's other ones out there. Personally, I just have always used Goodreads, and I really like it. So it helps me keep track of what I'm reading, and also gives you the ability to leave ratings as you're reading. I have my own personalized list of all the books I've read this year, and it helps me remember everything I've read and keep track of everything. It also helps me get ideas for more books I want to read. So if I like one book, what are some more books like this? It's just a great tool to have whenever you're wanting to set reading goals as well. That's all the tips that I will be sharing in this video as far as how to read more. If you have any tips and tricks that you would like to share, please leave those down in the comments below, so that way we can swap ideas. And being said, friends, happy reading. This is the perfect time of the year to get cozied up with the book. Please be sure to like and subscribe on your way out. And as always, I hope you have a magical day.